have we gone here?
I grew up in Byron Bay. Basically, it's a small little surf town on the east coast of Australia. Pretty much everyone in the town just surfed, and you just hung out at the beach all day and went to school occasionally, and if the surf was good, you just barred school and went surfing.
Yeah, this is the area I grew up in. As you can see, it's not a bad place to live. Beautiful beaches, always surf, warm weather.
It's like fishing, surfing, doing whatever was outdoors. Whatever the day brought, we would do. Used to have barbecues down here with my family. We grew up in a place that's pretty much paradise.
There's only one school, one high school, so we all went to the same school pretty much, and you'd meet each other in surf and stuff like that. So everyone in the band kind of knew each other before this whole thing happened.
Me and Winston used to hang out a lot because he used to be a pretty much professional bodyboarder.
We used to go away on surf trips together, and he used to film me back when I was actually bodyboarding for something, I guess. In the beginning, Byron had no scene at all. There was a handful of kids listening to this music that seemed so out of place in our town.
We started a punk band when I was like 14 or 13 or something, called Think Straight. And then a couple of years later, we sort of evolved into getting into hardcore.
The fact that there's anyone playing heavy music up there, let alone hardcore scene forming up there, is pretty hard to believe. It was probably the only scene in Australia where 14 and 15-year-old kids were going to shows.
Every venue we had in Byron lasted about 2 shows maximum, and it just got shut down to the point where we had nothing again.
There was no venues in Byron, so if we ever happened to play a show, it would be in my basement at the Parkway house.
The Parkway house, from the first time we went there, is the most open house I've ever been in. Like, it was as if you were going home to your house.
Parkway House is like a little oasis for us and all our friends.
We all got kicked out of other jam spaces throughout the town. Ray and Jenny ended up saying, yeah, you can jam here.
We had a nice place to jam, no neighbours. My parents didn't mind, they loved it.
There was bike jumps in the yard at one point in time. We used to drive shitty cars around the yard and get towed around and just do completely stupid things.
It's just the best childhood ever, I reckon.
Hey, do what you want, but don't do it about me. Idleness, anticipation, breed apathy. I sit on my ass all goddamn day. A misanthropic employed with nothing to say. What you must do all you can. Break all the fucking rules and go to hell with Superman and die like a champion. You hate. Hey, I don't know if the billions will survive, but I believe in God when 1 and 1 are 5. My moniker is man, and I'm rotten to the core. I'll tear down the buildings just to pass through the door.
The idea for the band came around the end of 2002.
Winston and Ben initially talked to me about what sort of sound they wanted. They wanted to do something heavier, something faster.
The sound we're after was more technical, but we didn't know if anyone in Byron could be that technical. Until I remember I thought of a guy who I'd heard of and seen around called Jeff.
He said, hey, there's this weird metal guy that I've heard about. He apparently surfs. And I was like, okay, cool, let's try and find him.
Basically, I was the kind of the outcast guy. I always knew all the guys that I was sort of the black sheep a little bit.
So one day I talked to him in the surf about it and just said, hey, we should have a jam one day.
And he's like, yeah, okay. He's never been in a band before. He didn't really know what the hell a jam was. He rocked up and we started jamming.
So the first Parkway jam was myself, Winston, Jeff and Luke, the two guitarists, and our old bass player, Steegie.
I remember it feeling pretty weird being in the room with just this random surfer kind of dude, Jeff, that I've never really hung out with.
Luke hadn't learnt how to play notes yet.
As soon as I could play power chords, that's all I ever wanted to know.
I had to teach him how to play notes. He was pretty much a rhythm/chord player.
Jeff was a bit too over the top, and Luke definitely wasn't technical enough. So they sort of balanced each other out.
And all of a sudden we had 2 songs in the first jam and we started freaking out because it was actually happening. We got something happening here. We want to do something with it. What the hell are we going to call it?
We're thinking we don't want to call it one of those cliched fucking shit, blood on the hands with wings.
Black, tears,
Death, piano.
wings, dying, all that kind of crap that you see going on now.
We just wanted something different that didn't sound metal or gory, because that's not really what we are. We're just normal dudes.
We drove past the street sign one day and we were like, well, why not just call it Parkway Drive?
And we thought, well, a lot of bands have jammed here. Ben's parents have been, really good to us.
So we thought, let's call it the name of the street we jam on and hang out at.
After about 2 months of jamming, we decided to play our first show.
First show was Byron Bay Youth Centre.
We were just going mental in the youthy, kicking the wall. No one had shirts on. There was about 20 dudes just going crazy.
At the point in time, we thought we were killing it. In reality, we were ridiculous.
Gaz was looked 11 with his big fucking afro.
And Winnow was doing some weird Clue Man kind of stance.
Jeff had these, I don't even know if he was wearing boardies or these baggy white pants he wears.
Jeff's never been in a band before, and that was really evident as soon as he hit the stage.
Luke and I discussed that we were going to try and do some pretty cool moves. Yeah, I don't think the moves were necessary at all.
I remember being at the show and hearing that there was a guy from a band called I Killed the Plum Queen at the show. Turned out to be Crafter.
He started dating a friend of ours up in Byron, so he came up and he was there for our first show because of it.
This was like the first day